guys have been massing up at the NIB. We saw you on TV yesterday, very frustrated by the system and speaking a lot of law in a political setting. Tell us, we read that Mr. Wontumi, Mr. Boamah-Nyarko has met the bail conditions. Has he met it? What's the situation now?
All right, thank you very much, Salom, and a very good morning to our cherished viewers, and particularly the people of the Western Region and Ifia constituency. And a good morning to my brother here with me, Hamza, and to everybody. Of course, according to the information we received from the Council of Chairman Wontumi, all the bail requirements as at yesterday evening are supposed to have been met. That is the amount of 50 million. There are other matters that have come up this morning in terms of the ability of the NIB or Nyarko to go and confirm the properties and also to clarify and also validate them to enable him get his liberties. As well, we were told of the application that had been filed by Nimako and partners seeking to review, seeking the court to revise or vary the bail conditions as granted by Nyarko. So you have all of these at play. But before we look into all that, I want to...
But given that the bail conditions have been met, doesn't that make that application moot?
Yeah, of course. But as Professor Apieje was saying, you couldn't just do the politics without the legal. So prior to the conditions being met, we had to take legal steps to see if they could get the variation. So once the conditions have been met, of course, it makes the application moot. And that is why we're looking forward to either withdrawing the application on Monday so that the rest of the matters
But I think that the point Prof makes is, so for example, once the bail condition was imposed, and you knew right from there that it was going to be difficult, quickly you have to run to court so that maybe you seek a very close date or a close date to move the application and see if the court will help vary the conditions. I mean, I don't know when this was filed, but it does appear to have filed like yesterday or something. And that's a bit too late in the day.
No, so you take it from when he was arrested. He was arrested on Tuesday evening, and then he was under interrogation on Wednesday. And so it was late Wednesday to Thursday that the bail was supposedly given. And so normally when you are being granted bail, of course, by any of the security agencies, you have a right to discuss the bail conditions with them. So if I go to police station for investigation and the police want to grant me that self-recognizance bail or ask me to get someone to bail me, they can normally state the amount they want you to be bailed. And then you could negotiate with them for some variation at that level. It is only when it fails, then you have to escalate it to the court for a variation. So if you take it from when the bail was placed on him, and then the negotiations that had to go through on Thursday, it was Friday, between Thursday and Friday, that it became very apparent that the state security apparatus were not ready to vary those conditions, and that necessitated the need to then go to court.
So do we know what exactly he is being held for as we speak?
We've seen or heard the Deputy Attorney General making some commentary around it. He's talking about investigations on money laundering. He's talking about some organized crime, suspicion. He's talking about his business activities. It's all so complicated and not clear. And that is where we have a problem as a minority in Parliament. Because once he's been picked up for investigation, the offense that he's being investigated upon should be clearly defined before you even pick him up. And then once you pick him up, he should clearly be told the charges that he's being investigated on. And then also...
Perhaps he's been told, but we do not know.
Oh, we know these are the matters before us. So what I'm saying is that it takes time for the state to run its investigations. And so charging someone or saying that you are investigating somebody on various angles is very much within the remit of the security agencies. But telling me is one thing, and establishing the fact that I'm culpable or you have a case to send to court is another thing. And that is why in the mind of the framers of our laws, they deemed it necessary that if someone is being investigated, that person should be entitled to bail. And bail granting shouldn't be punitive, shouldn't be used as a measure to punish someone or not giving the person the right to get his liberties. And so I agree with some of the submissions by my elder brother, Prof. IPJ, that it depends on the circumstances and the amount involved and the reasoning of the investigative body to determine what the bail conditions should be. And so for him, he stated an amount of around 500 million. This is the first time I'm hearing any figure around what exactly he's being confronted with, because not from the state officially, neither from the Attorney General's department. So I'm wondering where Prof got his information from. But suffice to say, if that is really the case, of course, you can place a bail on the person. But why are we granting bail? The measure for granting or giving someone bail is to allow the person to avail himself for trial. Nothing more than that, because it's not the bail that is going to pay for the conviction. The bail is only to provide some sureties to the state that in case the person is not available, then we can fall on the bail condition. So
the bail condition then should be good enough.
Yes.
So that in case the person is unable to come.
But that is, why would the person not come? That is why you look at...
We do not know.
Oh, no, please. He is not like the woman who said who ran away from the jurisdiction. Chairman Wontumi availed himself for investigation.
No, we never knew Sedina was going to also abscond. We never knew.
Sedina absconded earlier before the issues could even be completed. Then we have the President of the Republic in, and he has not gone to bring her back. You know, so there are so many things this government is doing that doesn't accord to some
in your view,
reasoning.
You think the bail condition is onerous? I mean, its caliber and the circumstances we're confronted. Of course, we will hear that this is even wider than we think. There's a wider net. We hear a businessman who is a car dealer has also been picked up in connection with this. Some issues about certain cars brought into the country, not properly procured, and all of that with the internet, US agencies, and all of that happening. So that perhaps explains what the Deputy Attorney General says, that it's a wider net with international matters, money laundering, fraud, etc. We do not know the full extent of that. Maybe we will know a bit later. But is it your view that the bail condition is too onerous? Oh,
that has been the position of the minority in Parliament, because as I was explaining, the main reason why you are granting bail is because you want the person to avail himself for both investigation and possible trial. So if the person's abode is known, if the person is not a flight risk, if there are certain sureties or guarantees that the person would avail himself for trial, and he has shown by the time he was invited by the CID, he voluntarily visited the CID office to be interrogated. And then that was why even picking him up with those Rambo-style approach, like Prof said, was completely needless for the democracy that we are building. You only need to invite him. So if he had been invited and he had gone to the Yoko, all these panic situations that we are seeing wouldn't have amounted to. So people are talking about the bail conditions because they are combining the nature of arrest vis-a-vis the amount involved in the bail. And people are reading into it, and I verily believe same to be true, that it is just an attempt to keep him in custody, to show him where power lies, to let people understand that there's a change of power. Power now is in the hands of them, and they decide to pick and choose how they are going to exercise that power. And that, for me, is very unfortunate.
Given the same parity of reasoning, we saw in 2012 the case of Alfred Agbesi Woyomi.
Yes.
He was granted bail in the sum of 54 million cedis with two sureties.
Yes.
Way back in 2012.
Yes.
We're in 2025. Things have happened in the economy, money has lost value, etc. So if Chairman Wontumi, and Woyomi's matter was just around 51 million.
Yes.
He was granted bail to the tune of 54 million in 2012.
Yes.
12, 13 years on, perhaps with a bigger thing. And Wontumi is granted bail to the tune of 50 million, which is less than the 54 million. Why are we crying? Why are we crying so much? When in 2012, the same voice crying never said anything about this.
No,
and it's the same institutions doing their work, consistency.
No, so in the case of Alfred Agbesi Woyomi, his bail was placed on him by the court, not by Yoko.
Not by Yoko.
Yes, so that was why we of the view that when they arrested him, if they had taken him to court the next day, within the 48 hours, these issues would have been within the confines of court, and they would have raised all the matters before the court, and then the court would be seized with some
are you sure that
information.
If the court has placed a bail condition of 54 or 50 million on him, same as Yoko has done, you didn't have had the same issues you're raising today?
No, that one, the issue will be seized in court, and you could now use the same court processes. But here's the case we're saying that what is the justification for the bail condition of 50 million?
We are not
pending investigation of what amount involved, like Prof said. To determine bail, you are looking at various circumstances. We are not seized with the facts, but by the little information that is available to us, I am not convinced. That is personally, and I speak also on behalf of the minority in Parliament, that seized with the information as lawyers that we have, and the statements that the state has thrown out there from the Deputy Attorney General, nothing suggests that the amount involved and the bail condition that is placed on him are consistent with the information available to us. So, if the issues had been taken to court, and the court is seized with those facts, it is not Yoko then that will impose the 50 or 54 million. So in the case of Alfred Woyomi, when the court imposed the 54 million, Woyomi's counsels they were equal. It was the court that placed the thing. And so they, looking at all the facts before them, thought that, okay, we have the capacity to mobilize the resources to grant him bail. It took him about 2-3 days to secure the bail conditions, and then he left. So the facts are not the same in this circumstance. And I believe that if Wontumi had been taken to court on Wednesday, if Yoko, having arrested him, and before they would have arrested him, they should have been seized with some preliminary information that was good enough to at least present the person before the court and either ask for him to be remanded or grant him the bail. And then if the court has placed the bail, nobody, I don't think anybody in Ghana, including us as lawyers and of the minority, would have marched to the Court of Appeal or to High Court and say that we are demonstrating or we are picketing because the court have placed a bail of 50 million on Chairman Wontumi.
We'll test the appropriateness of your march to Yoko and all of that.